to lower your tolerance so that as a fifth of vodka now would be way too much. It would put you into a coma, all right? But there's been a buildup of that tolerance in an alcoholic, and it's the same thing with these hedonic foods that we get triggered into.
Hi, welcome to the Judy Terrell Show, where I explore topics intended to optimize everybody 50, 60, 70, and above.
I know what to do to be on my weight loss eating plan, and I just have to get myself to do it. I'm not doing it, I'm falling off, but I know what to do, so, I'm going to get myself to do it. I just have to get myself to do it. I hear this over and over again in my office when I'm working with individual clients. After I have designed an eating plan for them that's been individualized, they've had some success to begin with, and then they start to fall off it. They think, I know what to do, and now that I'm telling you I just have to get myself to do it, that they're going to then walk out of my office and then magically be able to follow what they've noticed they're falling off. Hi everybody, if this is you, you are in the right place. I am health coach Judy Terrell. I am a nationally board certified health coach. I have a master's degree in counseling psychology in which I specialize in the behavior of addiction, and I've been in the weight loss, nutrition, fitness, and health industry for over 40 years. And I work with individuals day in and day out with designing programs for them, and then they say to me, I'm falling off it. I just got to get myself to follow it. And I always say to those clients, if you think you're going to magically walk out and just because you now say, I know I need to follow it, you're going to have the skill set to be able to interrupt falling off the plan, you're going to fail. And so knowing what to do and then interrupting the patterns and how do you interrupt those patterns in everyday life are two different skill sets. You are in my series of 6 parts of the most common ways, behavioral patterns that leads people to fall off their plan over and over again and not achieve their weight loss. This is episode 3, and in each episode I'm addressing a specific behavioral pattern and then giving you the specific tools for what to do for that particular situation or situations. And this is episode number 3, which I've said 4 times now. And then what I'm addressing in this episode is trigger foods. Okay? Trigger foods, first of all, are everywhere right now. We are living in a food environment that is so corrupted that is what I call unfood, but a term that's thrown out in the science literature is hyperpalatables. Most of the food that we get in the grocery store, or we're getting out in restaurants, or even in the health industry, these replacement foods and the smoothies and the protein bars and balls and all this kind of stuff are what are termed hyperpalatables, i.e. trigger foods, i.e. sexy foods. Okay, these are foods they're hedonistic. They taste so good. And part of why they taste so good is, in many cases, they are manufactured to hit all like the reward center of your brain with just the right amount of sugar, fat, and salt. Or they're layers, okay? So, it used to be that we'd have like an egg sandwich might be white flour with an egg and a piece of cheese, okay? Now, if you go to get an egg sandwich, you've got choices. And some of the choices are an egg sandwich with the egg and the cheese, and then macaroni and cheese, and then fried hash browns, and then guacamole, and then another piece of cheese in the sandwich. Layers. That is way more triggering than the simple one that we started with, okay? So I'm defining for you like these layers upon layers of taste sensations. These are all very triggering. And, some people, they're not foodies or whatever. They can eat it and then have a couple bites and be done. But many of us, we have brains that are very hypersensitive, just like an alcoholic is sensitive to alcohol, more so than maybe a social drinker. Many of us have brains that have been, we have an increase of tolerance, and maybe we were born with one that was a little bit more susceptible to these hedonistic foods. And now they're everywhere and they are triggering to us. All right. And that is why some people can eat, like have one piece of chocolate and walk away, they're fine. And somebody else has one piece of chocolate, which by the way, has just the right amount of fat, sugar, and salt. Because it's not the cocoa bean, it's milk chocolate is a layered food, okay, designed for brain stimulus, and then you are somebody who has one piece of chocolate and is off to the races, okay? That is what I call trigger foods, and so they're just to redefine them. They are the kind of foods that when you taste them, you have one bite and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. and they are sexy and they taste amazing and they are triggering. Like that, once you start them, then it's difficult to have an appropriate amount, okay? Trigger foods. So I have many clients that are on their plans and then they, are constantly surrounded by trigger foods in their office when they go out to dinner to order from a restaurant menu, Grubhub and these various, purchase and have delivered to your house, going to somebody else's house, in your workplace, food is everywhere, gifts, on and on and on and on. We are surrounded, even just going to the grocery store and thinking that you're buying the healthy version of things. Well, now instead of sugar, they have, erythritol. Instead of fat, they have, the unhealthy fat, they'll have guacamole or another like nut and seed that's been powdered down and refined. It's just everywhere. So trigger foods, and you know what they are for you. It's the ones that when you start, you are really, really have a hard time stopping. And they are hot, like, again, you look at them and you can see that they're layered. There's many layers of, brain stimulating, dopamine, reward center, brain stimulus, all right? So now we've defined our terms. If you are somebody that is more susceptible to that, then what do you do about it, all right? So now let me give you a little bit more brain chemistry. If you are somebody who's already susceptible to it and you have been, overdoing it or have, repetitively in a week or a day, your exposure and then your intake of it is higher than somebody else, then you probably have what's called brain leptin resistance, all right? Your Second 50.life is my virtual platform that is designed for both men and women over 50 and 60, 70, and 80. And it includes pre-recorded video information on exercise and how to do it, whether you're fit and in good health or if you have bad knees, bad shoulders, a bad back, whatever. It includes information on how to eat for weight management and how to eat for health management. It includes information on the psychology of the aging and what do we need to do in our heads. Because let's face it, this aging thing is not for the faint of heart. So your Second 50.life is a virtual platform of resources that you can access at your own leisure, but it also includes 2 times a month live video coaching with me so that you can bring your own individual questions and get individual coaching as well as have access to all the information on the pre-recorded videos. So please check it out, because we're all in this together and we got this. Just like if you're eating too much sugar, your body is producing insulin, but after a while you get insulin resistance because it's too high in the sugar on a regular basis. Our brains can get leptin resistant. Leptin is a hormone that tells your brain, you can start to slow down and stop eating now. All right. So if you're leptin resistant and you're eating these trigger foods, then you're, that's the perfect storm for not being able to follow your plan, all right? Because you're getting triggered by these trigger foods. So leptin resistance is part of this, conundrum that you're facing if you are somebody who has trigger foods. All right, so now, everything I've probably told you, you could probably have told me. Now, what do you do about it is really the key point here. All right, so what you need to do, if you are somebody who knows that you are more susceptible to these hedonistic foods that are all part of our normal, eating right now, then my suggestion and my coaching is to take a week to start. I'm going to tell you a longer time period in a second, but 1 week. And what you're going to do is you're going to plan what I call simple 1 food item, on a plate meals. All right. I'm not saying you're going to eat just 1 food, but instead of that, breakfast sandwich I just described, you're going to have scrambled egg with some sliced avocado and like some sliced pre-cooked sweet potato. Okay, those are 3 distinct foods. They're not layered. Okay, it's not sweet potato with cinnamon and stevia. It's not avocado that has been mashed together and now turned into guacamole. Not that I'm saying those things are necessarily bad, but you can see what I'm saying. Guacamole isn't just the avocado. You've got cilantro and you've got onion and you've got tomato and you've got bell peppers. All right. Egg, scrambled eggs, not scrambled eggs with cheese and ham and like an omelet, not even egg whites with all that. They start to get layered. They start to get more, stimulating to your brain. If you want to bring your tolerance back down so that you're less susceptible to the trigger foods, you've got to extinct these sexy, layered, hedonistic foods, and you got to go back to simple eating. Like you need a protein, a fat, and a carb on your plate. So that might be like for our dinner, it might be a grilled chicken with maybe some salt and pepper, or maybe some dry spice, mix, a rub of some sort, some steamed broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, mix the colors up, but they're just the vegetables. And then you might have a baked potato, or you might have a sweet potato, or you might have some cubed butternut squash, you might have some, beans. And now you're simplifying. You want to make it as minimally, these all taste good and you're getting a well-balanced meal, but you're trying to minimize that sexiness, that stimulus, that hedonic kind of, brain stimulus that triggers your dopamine center and your reward center. We've got to lower that back down. So just like if you were an alcoholic, for instance, if you're used to drinking a fifth of vodka a day, you got to bring yourself down below. You got to extinct it. You got to lower your tolerance so that a fifth of vodka now would be way too much. It would put you into a coma, all right? But there's been a buildup of that tolerance in an alcoholic, and it's the same thing with these hedonic foods that we get triggered into. So we've got to bring that back down, okay? You got to get under that threshold. You got to get your leptin resistant to be less resistant. Now you got to lower that resistance, and you do that by lower the trigger foods and these fun, hedonistic, layered, sexy foods. Now, how long do you have to do that is very varied. Some people, a week can start, you might have a little bit more frontal brain when you're, input. That means that you're aware and you're conscious when you get around the trigger foods. If you've taken a week to kind of like lower the amounts down. But truthfully, for many people, it's longer than that. So, how people do dry January after coming off the holidays? Like you might want to say, okay, I'm going to do low trigger foods, simple eating for the month of February, for instance. And you can take a month to do it. The longer you can do it, the more you're going to be bringing yourself back way down under that threshold. And then the more chance afterwards, when you do get around the trigger foods, you have more self-input to monitor yourself. All right, everybody? This is episode number 3. I have 3 more to go. If you're getting aid from these, please find the next 3 and follow them. You might not have all 6 of these, although you might. My guess in putting this video series together is that there's 1 or 2 or maybe 4 or 3, maybe not all of them, but there's more than 1 most likely that's getting you over and over again. And I want to give you the tools to be able to get yourself, to regulate yourself so that you can achieve your optimal weight and be happy with yourself. All right, buddy, I'll see you in the next video, and yeah, we got this.
And if you'd like to have access to some of my additional resources, I can be found at Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and on my website, www.judyterrell.com.